Friday. Brian, Joel, Simon, Mabel, who is not feeling well this morning, and Brian Tuka are all standing by to make sure that your weekend is beautiful. We are going to take it slow and make sure that you have the best morning. But let's get started with our question of the day. Good morning. Well, feel free to get in touch with us and head over to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and like our page first and answer the question. But also go to Twitter at Morning at NTV. You can also tag us at MBGold2, at Kasiate, at Joel Senyonyi, at Mebkeb, at Dakaba Chigongo, and answer the question. Alternatively, use the SMS platform and send the correct answer and your name to 6565. Good luck. You might be walking away with a mug from Morning at NTV. When I come back, the stories that are making headlines. Good morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
A very good morning to you wherever you're joining us from, whether on air or online. That is youtube.com/NTV Uganda/live. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now this morning, let's take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines. Now, France and the US have called for the UN Security Council to consider sanctions against South Sudan. The cabinet approves the cancellation of all land titles issued in wetlands, and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni launches the Higher Education Students Loan Scheme. Good morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Once again, a warm welcome. I am Brian Mlondo. Now, France and the US have called for the United Nations Security Council to consider sanctions against South Sudan over the spiraling violence in the country's civil war. US Ambassador Samantha Power relayed Washington's position in a closed-door meeting of the 15-member council. This comes at a time when Kill's government plans to release 4 detainees, including former SPLM Secretary General Pangan Amum, allegedly behind a failed coup attempt.
Members of the UN Security Council are considering sanctions on South Sudan's parties that have failed to resolve the ongoing violence that has turned the world's youngest state into a slaughterhouse. This after the UN peacekeeping chief Javi Ladislas presented to the 15-membered council that unless there are serious consequences for the parties to cease the violence and engage in meaningful talks, the toll on the innocent civilians will continue to rise. After a closed-door session, AFP, an international news agency, reported that US and France called for the sanctions against South Sudan for the spiraling violence. France's representative to the United Nations Security Council, Gerard Harold, told the media after the meeting that maybe we have to face the fact that we can't cooperate with this government anymore. We need some soul-searching about what the UN should do in South Sudan. While US Ambassador to the United Nations Security Council Samantha Powers posted on her Twitter account that, for the sake of the people of South Sudan, the international community must sanction political spoilers and those who target civilians. China, which is also the biggest investor in South Sudan, did not give its position on the proposed sanctions, calling for more time to discuss the pros and cons. South Sudan Ambassador to Uganda Samuel Luate said that the sanctions on the government in Juba would be counterproductive.
Those who are thinking of it will make it worse. Because this is a country that has no food yet. Country that is still working very hard at least to produce food for the country. Country that is still depending on international community to bring in, food and other things. Now you want to sanction them? What about those children on the roads?
Ambassador Luwate said Vice President Riek Machar, however, should face sanctions for the atrocities he committed.
But if they are talking about these sanctions, they should then review the record of Dr. Riek Machar from the beginning until the massacre of the people in the Unity State. And if it is him, Dr. Riek Machar, then the UN or whoever should now hold him responsible and deal with him as a person with this group that is killing the people in South Sudan, but not the government who's looking for peace.
These discussions come barely a week after rebel fighters killed over 200 civilians in Bentu, shortly after capturing the oil-rich flashpoint town of Bentu. At the time, Machar's forces seemed to be gaining an upper hand, especially in the volatile Unity and Upper Nile states. South Sudan President Salva Kiir yesterday sacked the army's Chief of General Staff, General James Hoth Mai, and the head of the military intelligence, Major General Mark Paul Quall. The sacking of James Hoth Mai, who is Noor, could be viewed from an ethnic prism as an attempt by Kiir to peg the army of Machar's kinsmen.
The term limit is 4 years. 4 years to serve as a Chief of Staff in the army. But in the case of this Chief of Staff, General James Hoth Mai, he has served longer. He has served his country very well. And therefore, the government believes that it is a time also to inject a new blood to that position.
General James Hoth Mai was replaced by Paul Malong, who is of the Dinka ethnicity. Kiir did not give any reasons for the changes. Solomon Serwanja, NTV.
Now, Cabinet has approved the cancellation of all land titles issued in wetlands after the 1995 National Environment Management Act was passed into law. The Minister of Information and National Guidance, Rose Namayanja, has revealed. The minister, who pronounced the government's position in a news conference yesterday, has criticized the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development for failing to rein in on those encroaching on the wetlands. We have a report.
Although wetlands play a key role in the conservation of the ecosystem, their continued degradation has gone unabated over the years. This has been attributed to the weak implementation of environmental laws. Section 36 of the 1995 National Environment Management Act, Cap 153, provides for the protection of wetlands and prohibits any person from reclaiming or draining any wetlands, erecting, constructing, placing, altering, extending or removing any structure that is fixed in, under or over any wetland, depositing in or on any wetland any substance in a manner that is or is likely to have an adverse effect on a wetland, introducing or planting any exotic plant or animal in a wetland. It is perhaps as a result of this complacency that has led Cabinet to come up with these stringent measures.
All titles in wetlands on public land acquired unlawfully after 1995 should be cancelled. Land titles on critical ecosystems, especially those on 200-meter lakeshore protection zone, should be cancelled, and any claims for compensation or relocation of people should be critically evaluated.
Addressing a news conference at the media center here in Kampala, Namayanja said Cabinet was alarmed by the continued issuance of such titles by the Ministry of Lands.
This apparent disregard of the law protecting wetlands continues to send wrong signals to other wetland users, such as the urban poor and the affluent individuals who have massively and indiscriminately encroached on wetlands.
She directed the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development to immediately cancel land titles within wetlands.
Clear operational procedures of handling cancellation of these titles in wetlands on public land have to be developed, and these procedures should be applied without discrimination.
Namayanja implored the police to protect undegraded wetlands and to map all wetlands across the country. But some of those who live in wetlands have reacted with scorn at the directive.
The government should negotiate with us so that we can get where we can go.
It is not the first time government has issued such pronouncements. However, only time will tell if government can take pragmatic steps to resolve this crisis which poses a grave danger to the environment.
Now, President Museveni has launched the Higher Education Students Loan Scheme aimed at helping the needy pursue higher education. The launch is taking immediate effect with funding of close to 6 billion shillings. Shirandu Huchire has a report.
The launch of this scheme, which has been pending for over 3 years, drew mixed reactions from the target beneficiaries.
If there is no corruption and the measurement as always it has been in the system, then it is good.
It might benefit some students.
The Students' Loan Scheme, established under the Higher Education Students Financing Act 2014, is aimed at supporting needy students through university education. It targets youth who have been admitted for an accredited course in an accredited institution. For a start, it will benefit only those with a particular emphasis on sciences.
If they had put something favorable to all students, provided you are a student who have qualified for higher learning.
The students raise the question of who genuinely deserves to be called the needy.
Has been the discipline, strikes and I don't know what. My question has been, these are educated people. Why can't they not sit down and discuss?
With an 80% unemployment rate in Uganda, chances of having student loans paid after a year of completion of the course are very low. The terms of the loan are that repayment of the loan with the specified interest starts at least 1 year after completing the higher education for which the loan was given. Once in employment, the employer will deduct the amount specified by the board from the employee without exceeding 30% on net salary. The student loan takes priority over all other deductions, save for pay-as-you-earn and NSSF. Anyone thought of evading payment will be sentenced to 6 months in jail, for which he will be required to start the payment process. A person who has taken the student loan will be required to pay over a period of 8 years, depending on one's income. The law is silent on what happens, for instance, a student who for one reason or the other drops out of school while they have been granted the loan. Launching the scheme, President Museveni also toured the innovations of the students. This car is 100% ethanol powered.
The question of education for citizens of this country.
The President says 50 billion has been earmarked in the national budget to support such innovations. Shirandu Huchire, NTV.
Now moving on, Wakiso District Agricultural Officers have started spraying trees and plants that have been infested by the destructive caterpillars. The caterpillars have destroyed farms in several districts, raising fears of famine in the future.
The destructive caterpillar, known as Lupa caterpillar, started their invasion on particular trees. When all the leaves on these trees were gone, they moved to trees that bear edible fruits and then the crops in the gardens. The locals have been thrown into a frenzy. They fear that this could pave way for famine.
The banana leaves were gone, the maize were gone, and the cassava, the jackfruit trees, the mangoes were all eaten up, as you've seen.
Our cows cannot graze around nearby the trees. They are disturbing them as like test flies.
We do not sleep at night because we don't know what is going to attack you, where they're going to come from to enter your house. All of us are in fear.
Now, the district agriculture team are spraying some homes as a model to the neighbors on how to fight the destructive larva. Dudo Cyper is the recommended agrochemical product. It used to go for about 25,000 shillings in the market, but now the price has been hiked and many cannot afford it.
The problem is we cannot spray everybody's home. So what we are doing is building the capacity of the people to what? To help themselves. We are demonstrating to them how they can do it.
You'll find that most people do not even have money to buy food to eat. How can they even have money to spray, to buy pesticides to spray? We can't afford.
The district officials suspect climate change has something to do with the emergency of these caterpillars in such numbers.
You realize we have cleared most of our forest cover. So these butterflies are supposed to be breeding in the what? In the forest. So now, and when you take a survey, you realize that the forested areas are the ones where these caterpillars are actually found.
We have received information, and the ministry has already moved in the area. We are trying to address the problem.
Other districts that have been affected by the caterpillars include Mukono, Iganga, Masaka, Kasese and Mayuge, among others. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Is brought to you by Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Good Friday morning to all of you watching us from wherever you are seated or even standing. Yes, we're coming to you live from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel on a relaxed Friday morning, the 25th day of April 2005, where the country wakes up to the anticipation of a wonderful concert to be held this evening by Congolese Lingala star Koffi Olomide. Be sure we'll be there. Good morning.
I can see you're really geared up. It's getting set.
I didn't get my Koffi Olomide kind of suit. I'm sure his picture is playing out in the Daily Monitor on your front page. Get yourself a copy and just see how the man arrived in the country in style with a Louis Vuitton briefcase, very serious designer shoes. I love his watch. Of course, his shades that he wore in the night were certainly something to talk about, and not to mention the suit and the checkered.
Just like a pastor. You know, pastors who wear green suits and I don't know why. This is red expensive shoes.
Congolese musicians are the epitome of fashion on this continent. So all these other masqueraders, pastors mentioned, they just want to be like Congolese musicians. Does he bleach? He bleaches. Well, I'm not a cosmopolitan.
I don't expect Simon to say anything bad about this man. You seem to look up to him a great deal.
Oh, you, coffee.
Good for you. Good for you. Is that why you like taking coffee?
Let's get a bit of serious news coming in from the Daily Monitor this morning. We know that there's a situation brewing so seriously in the Republic of South Sudan. Now, the Uganda People's Defense Forces has warned the South Sudan rebels led by Riek Machar, should they dare attack the strategic town of Bol, they will never regret. And this is a warning that has been issued by the Defense and Army spokesperson Akano Padi Ankunda. He said these rebels are fully aware of what the UPDF is capable of doing. Should they make that decision, it will be the mother of all boomerangs.
There are huge disparities, you know, when you look at Machar's Twitter. His tweets are saying we are not guilty, we're not killing anyone, we are ready to talk. But then, even yesterday, the Red Pepper released stories of him saying, you know what, we are coming, no matter what you say.
You know, ultimately, it's going to have to be a settlement. I don't see this being resolved militarily, and especially with our involvement as Uganda. Yes, we've got a strong force. We have made some, you know, good successes here and there, but these two guys need to talk. And until they do that, who is going to suffer? The people down there, the ones that are being mutilated all over the place. They have got to talk at some point. Well, I don't know who will push them to doing that, but they need to.
Simon, well, the Red Pepper this morning.
Well, the Red Pepper this morning is screaming with the headline "Bloodbath," and this is about the story developing in South Sudan.
And that's what it is.
Where we are seeing very grotesque pictures coming in from some of these states that show a massacre. And then there's the irony where the Uganda People's Defense Forces were asked to step aside by the United Nations. Only for the United Nations neighborhood, its compound, were attacked the other day, and hundreds of bodies littered on the streets, only for the UPDF to come and take charge of this situation.
Of course, the UN is concerned, a little bit concerned. They're thinking Uganda has got interests there, and that's why they're telling them to step aside. But look, does the UN have the moral authority to tell us to step aside? Yeah, when it was genocide was happening in Rwanda, they pulled out, and what did happen?
I think that's even 20 years ago. We're looking at South Sudan now. I believe you me, there is a genocide going in there. There's
another in Central African Republic.
And you don't even see this being talked about on international media channels. They are just talking about some and a hurricane somewhere.
The British Premier, I think he was bitten by a bug or something, and that was news all over the place. And we're thinking, okay, maybe like you're saying, they need to
Simon,
pay
we're talking about a standoff in diplomacy. Is this the behavior of international community?
You think they care so much about you?
Brian, at this point in time, I am really constrained to discuss matters diplomatically related.
No, but what's clear is that they don't necessarily, as going to say, give a damn about us. But let me be a little bit more diplomatic now that I talk about. They don't really care about us. You know, even the aid that they send to this place. It is not so much because they want us to get better. No, and we should stop being hoodwinked. We need to rise up and begin to take charge.
Well, that's the question I'll put to the European Union head of delegation when he visits this place sometime next week. Now, talking about a standoff, we see a big standoff taking place at the Uganda National Examinations Board, where long-serving Secretary Matthew Bukenya should have handed over to the Director for Finance by the 17th of April, but up to today he's still in office, and UNEB chairman, our good friend Fajil Mande, having a serious altercation. Now the security detail of both men seems to be altercating at every time. Until yesterday, the whole director of operations in the Uganda police force had to go there to stem an impending.
The minister actually is the one who called him, Mr. Tuyagumana, and said, you know what, I know of some reports that this man is going to be attacked. But look, this gentleman is 75 years of age. He has run his race. I have to believe he was the the secretary when you did your UNEB. When was that, in the 50s?
Oh, there was the gentleman who called me so moved. That's the time when I did my examination.
But he has run his race. And you see, this confusion needs to be sorted out. Of course, Fajil Mande is another beleaguered one. You remember that IEG report? We're yet to hear that being remedied.
That's possibly why there is no substantive secretary. But for me, because the selection of Matthew Bukenya's replacement was vetoed by the Inspector General of Government.
But for me, this, Bukenya failing to get out of office shows me one thing, that these people, those who have been actually faithfully serving government, somehow they never plan for when they are getting out. And this is evidence that Bukenya now knows his life is, for lack of a better word, screwed.
Actually, some little research has been done on people that retire.
I thought we're in a country where there may not be proper formidable pension or retirement benefits, but we put our insurance in our progeny. You have your children, educate them, and you hope that in time of need, like old age, your children will come and
why are you putting them?
I'm constrained to ask myself. I mean, this Matthew Bukenya gentleman did not invest in children. I'm sure some of his children are watching us. They should be able to mitigate.
It's actually a shame for him to expect his children to meet his...
What are you talking about?
Okay, you guys, we seem to just be rumor mongering about Bukenya because we don't know the details. But let's talk about the average Ugandan civil servant that does retire. I'll tell you, many of these guys actually die too soon when they retire. Why? Because they no longer have the government car, the government house, all these parks. All of a sudden they realize, oh my goodness, now I've got to face it. I've not done much for myself. But you see, you talk about the children, for goodness sake, educate your children so that they can have a better livelihood. It is okay if they take care of you, but you see, do not hold these children at ransom.
I don't want to get personal, but I am imagining where your parents are and how much you are doing for them.
It's good that you do your very best.
If only I had the chance to give back to my parents. I'm saddened to hear that people like you
think that don't misconstrue what you're saying.
It's wrong for the parent to expect.
Yes. Try and hold the children at ransom. Let me tell you, I will do whatever I can to help my mother and my love.
Kasiate, send me 10 million shillings tomorrow, and
you educated you, and so
that's blackmail,
it's actually blackmail.
And I hope you don't do that to your children.
It's not right. It's not right. Let's be there for our parents.
But your child, you can tell your child, Joel, I'm going through this, and
I should be able to reach out and help my parents.
I have enough money.
Yes.
Take this.
But don't begin pulling these cards of I educated you.
You know why I'm silent?
powerful enough
you know why I'm silent? Let's move on to
another because you're thinking, you're ruminating slowly, but you are what you're talking about.
For me, it's a highly emotional subject. For a man who has been 20 years more without parents, I cannot sit here and discuss with people who do not even want to give a coin to their parents and think that their parents...
That's not what we give coins to our parents, but we do not appreciate the fact that parents blackmail their children. That's why
again, I say I will not delve myself into this discussion because it doesn't make sense to me.
And moving on, government rejects opposition demands to stop ID registration. You know, the opposition has been up in arms saying, look, this process is disorganized, there's lots of loopholes.
The what?
Put it to a halt, the ID registration.
Who is coming in say it's disorganized?
The opposition.
The word is? Yes, what do you expect of a big butter grant? I mean, the opposition is supposed to say, their job. To oppose everything that
but which is wrong. We don't want to oppose it for the sake of it,
yeah, that's what seems to be Uganda's opposition. So what is wrong with carrying out a national ID project? According to their opposition.
Nothing wrong. I too have issues with it. I think we need to have IDs. I want to have a national ID.
I want to.
I'm a little bit concerned. I was telling Pamela Nkunda the other day that, look, I am bothered when people are taking 1 hour to register a single individual. And that's one of the reasons I've not yet gone, by the way. Because I'm thinking, okay, they're taking one hour each person. I'm thinking I need to kill a whole day to be able to register. That's not right. And then they have one kit for an entire parish. Many times they keep moving from one place to one place. They had a lot of time to prepare for this, yeah, but it looks like this thing has just fallen on them and they realize, okay, now we've got to organize for this. And it's typical of the way we do things here. Chogam was saying the other day they were planting trees 1 week to the Queen's coming. No, it's not right that we do things that way. I don't think it should be called off entirely. I think they need to get back to the drawing board and get organized, for goodness sake. We want these ideas, but can we get them in an organized manner?
There you have it. Now going back to South Sudan. And the situation playing out in Sudan, there is a diplomatic row brewing between Uganda and Khartoum. Yes, for the following reasons, that the UPDF seems to be supporting rebels opposed to President Omar al-Bashir. And for that reason, the Sudanese ambassador to Kampala was recalled with a show of discontent from Khartoum that Uganda had better stop these machinations. On the other hand, Uganda is firm in its belief that Khartoum has resumed its financing and support to the Lord's Resistance Army. It's a story playing out in the Daily Monitor this wonderful Friday morning.
Now, yesterday, you did notice that lack of quorum stalled the HIV/AIDS bill debate. Now,
the MPs, there are serious issues for them. For them, when it's a matter of life and death, I mean, they're already saying they care so much about Ugandan citizens. Here we are talking about the HIV/AIDS prevention and control bill. How more important can a bill get in Parliament? Right. And how many do you have in the chambers of Parliament? 16, 20.
That's actually short. I think the opposition had a lot more members than the ruling party. And I was thinking, we need to get a little bit more serious. Yeah, if you're talking about serving this country.
Well, there is some very good news for the demagogues of youth unemployment. Brian and Joel here. Government is rolling out a youth fund program. We'll have about 2.8 million jobless youth across the country being given a chance to fight back in the latest government war against poverty and unemployment.
I'm yet to see youth that have been given money and they can tell me it has ameliorated them, it has bettered their lives. Look, this business of dishing out money to young people, whether it is in sacks or through banks like this one, I don't think it cuts it.
But now, Joel, what do you want? What do you want? Because when government gives money to young people, you say
you castigate it. When government does it, you start crying.
Government to young.
Me, I'm actually not interested in government going out and dishing out money, albeit with the predicaments of how they are dishing it out, who they are giving it out to. I've met many young people that will tell me, my friend, if you look like you supported the other party during the elections, you're going to have a hard time, Now, almost notwithstanding, but you see, that's the point. You're giving them money. What are they going to do with it? They're going to go out and bet it.
So what do you think should be done?
Let's avail employment opportunities, and that is something we can do.
The government is
but look, you give me examples of young people that have been given money and it has bettered their lives.
What do you want government to do for these young people? Government has educated many of them for free, universal primary education. Then they graduate from all these universal education schemes and they are given free money to start up businesses. What more do you,
because that's what they ask for.
That's what they ask for.
Yeah, okay, then tell me, how many youth do you know have had their lives bettered today because they've been given money.
Me, I have never believed in people being given free things. I believe in the
So you're saying the same thing I'm saying, right?
No, for you, you're always here crying foul. Oh, government
I've
should
never
do
said
something.
government.
No, you always say government should do something over the unemployment thing. They should give them
And yes,
money,
they should.
startups and all that. Now they're giving them startups.
No, I have a challenge with these startups because of the modus operandi
Joe,
used. Yeah?
I know guys who, you know, have shops next to my office and they have computer shops and
They were not given money by government.
They got the youth fund, the first youth venture.
And I tell you, the few that are benefiting are those who have already
enterprise
taken
Uganda.
off. We need to be concerned about 83% of Ugandans who are jobless.
Okay, so now 2.8
and
billion
those are not going to be catered for by this money. And I'll tell you,
and that's before I come
we've
in
had
with
all
my
the
usual
previous
line.
ones, youth fund, I don't know, youth beach cause and so on. I'd want to meet young people that have been
before
better.
I tell you of my usual statement of how unemployable many of these youths are. Well, in the Daily Monitor this morning, you've got your usual jobs and career pull out. Talking of jobs, yes, this is the place where you can have a stop and look out for your dream white collar or blue collar job. They are all advertised in the newspaper this wonderful morning. Now, of course, if you do not have a job or you have one and you want to spend some time relaxing, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor, because in there you have your favorite weekend magazine, Scoop, giving you all the
I think you want them to work, now you want them to relax. Brand, you were
Okay, on to like more exciting news.
More exciting news.
Yesterday the president drove a Toyota Noah which was running on ethanol.
No,
you know, we can finally use Waraji for something good other than getting
the drunk drivers that this guy is always supporting.
If I'm driving a car that is drunk on ethanol, what is the chance that my car will not be apprehended by Musinga?
You're driving a drunk car.
But this is good, I think. Again, it raises the question, where does innovation stop in this country? You know, kids come up with all these beautiful things and then the president drove in the car, but is this the last we're going to hear of it? But the upside is that we are going to get 6 billion shillings for, you know, the education scheme. Isn't that good for us?
Yeah, but who is it targeting at the end of the day? You see, we have many brilliant chaps here. And look, for me, my point is, there are countries that are doing it. China has done it, Singapore has done it. They get the best and not their relatives and so on. Take them elsewhere, educate them, and then they get them back here and they begin to work, pay them nicely. This country will begin moving forward.
I'll tell you what, this country moved on from having government do such interventions. What we have are corporate citizens who come into this market, employ some of we Ugandans and subject us to rigors of training. I mean, NTV, for example, is a case in point. Or the National Media Group, for example, they pick up young graduates of mass communication or others who apply to get jobs in here, subject them to the media lab in Nairobi, and produce prolific reporters that have made NTV and Monitor the kind of media powerhouse that it is in Uganda. The same applies to wonderful companies like ESCOM that pick us, train us in South Africa, give us the best practices and all that.
Morning is talking about ESCOM, about how nice a company it is, yet we are about to throw it out of this country. But you see, I think it's a good thing that corporate companies are doing that, but can we see our leaders take the trouble? For goodness sake, you see, everything
was the same argument I made here before you. That you see, when corporate companies are engaging and picking the best brains and even bettering them, they pick the best brains in the first place and even train them further to make them better. On the other hand, when government is picking the counterparts of these people with whom they should discuss and negotiate concession agreements for all, does government pick the very best of brains? Does it take time off? No. And then you start whinging and saying that a corporate entity signed an unfair agreement with the government. I mean, you must know that it's unfair from the word go, that your government doesn't really mean business. Anyway, getting into the inner pages
international rift, somebody here says, may lead to a new political configuration. Do you believe that?
Now, when it's coming in from my good old friend Augustine Ruzinda, I would consider I am better off employing him to concentrate more on matters FDC and matters opposition, so that he can make better.
But look, you know, matters NRM affect everybody in this country, whether you like it or not, whether you're FDC, UPC,
that is why the opposition has been very successful, because for all they have done, they have spent all their time looking at what's happening in the NRM house without knowing that they don't even have a roof over their own house.
But look, FDC has got a headquarters of theirs, they've got a building of their own.
You're looking at the roof
UPC does. NRM, they've been in power for how long?
You're looking at it from literally.
They are renting in places where they're being thrown out. They've been saying.
Joel, I think you took it from a literal point of view. I meant
both ways it works, literal and figuratively.
We've been talking a lot about, you know, diplomacy, and we've always given Babazi as one of the cheerleaders, really, the only politician who tweets a lot. Ofono Ponda has started doing that on behalf of government. But Nyombi Tembo also takes to social media.
Well, he's the Minister for ICT somewhere there. Well, the inside pages of the Daily Monitor, as we conclude, are showing an interesting insight as to why malaria still remains the world's biggest killer disease in this part of the world, so to speak. Yes, did we tell you that this press review is always brought to you by Uganda Telecom, and Uganda Telecom always about you, and now they're introducing a new campaign called Chize, where you load airtime, spend it, and get it all back in their new per second tariff plan.
Three things are not very bad after all.
That's Uganda Telecom.
Somebody here says, I prayed in vain for Musisi and Lukwago. This is a pastor. During the late period, he was praying for them to reconcile. Maybe the man has been disappointed.
Well, with that, we come to the end of our press review this morning. Have a wonderful morning. When we return, it's the big story, and the big story is getting down really hot and sharp. We're talking about being tech savvy and using technology and social media for the right cause and not lambasting, flamoxing, and gazumping your friends.
#100# select Chize and get the total amount you spend in a month refunded. This refund can be used for calls and SMSs to all networks for the next 30 days from Uganda's most affordable telecom service, Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Check it out. Uganda Telecom gives you a chance to be a millionaire. Your next phone call can turn you to a millionaire.
Answer calls on your mobile or landline, and one of them could make you a millionaire.
Just receive calls on your Uganda Telecom number. You could win up to 1 million shillings every day.
The more calls you receive, the higher chances of winning.
There will be a winner every hour, every day. All you gotta do is just answer your phone.
If you call me now,
I can be a millionaire.
If I call you now,
you can be a millionaire. Answer the phone, just answer the phone.
Yeah.
Answer the phone, just answer the phone. Don't miss that call. Don't miss loads of cash from Uganda's most affordable telecom service.
Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
The government has mobilized the funds.
This is the famous Nile Bridge.
Tulikodua mufezezi okulaba nti Masaka babeera empowered mu kulima emmwanyi.
Business zigenda mbarra tuombekere, so we are okay.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very powerful. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
The average age of the entire national team is under 18, and the primary role of Team Uganda is to remain Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the clubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had
the same group of players, and they did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
how I went to the nurse and I asked why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive?
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombi ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo bakookeza nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokeza
kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette. The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
A very good morning once again, and yes, it's a wonderful Friday morning, the 25th day of April 2014, and yes, we're coming to you from the rooftop of Kampala Serena Hotel, and it's the big story this wonderful morning. Well, it's young, it's sharp, it's precise, and that's what we'll be discussing, social media. Now, when we talk about social media, what comes to your mind? Many of you use social media sites like Facebook and Twitter to do all the crazy things, post selfies that, for the most part, border on nude selfies, or you even post sex videos, especially the young people. But there are people who are using social media for a different thing. While most of us use social media sites for all the wrong reasons, a group of young people, should I call them youth for that matter, under the 40 Days, 40 Smiles Foundation, 4040, put it that way, recently raised money to build a dormitory for underprivileged and vulnerable children. This was possible through funds raised through social media sites like Facebook and Twitter. Well, this 4040 initiative did start off as a one-time outreach project. The foundation is now 2 years old and counting, and yes, they have quite some gusto and some stones on their shoulders, literally. I have the privilege and honor to have with me the founder and, should I say CEO?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just call me team leader.
Well, team leader, she wants to call herself. She's extremely modest. Esther Kalenzi, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning to you too, Simon.
What is it about you that motivated you to start up this social media outreach program that is now the buzz of town?
I can say the biggest thing that called me to do this was the need for change. The need to have something done in the society by us members of the society, but most of all by youth who are usually known to be just fun-loving people who don't do anything that has value. So it's just work, then partying, meet some friends, and that's it. And then I thought, why can't we do something for people who need it, and at the same time also enrich our own lives and be able to touch as many lives as possible in Uganda.
That is stuff that makes what we call hearts of gold. But how many people are you able to galvanize with this Heart of Gold initiative? Do you get a lot of outreach from your friends, or they prefer to party away as opposed to spending their hard-earned little monies on more exciting things like a beer or even another kind of drink or smoke elsewhere?
I can say for me, my friends have been extremely supportive, and that whole, if they do party, of course it's there to some extent, but one, we have meetings every week to discuss what we are going to do in terms of our projects. Every other weekend there's an event to fundraise. Every other weekend we are at an orphanage with some children, so there's basically no time to be useless. We're always thinking new ways to attract as many people as we can, and because social media is so versatile and it's so all over the place and it's cheap, we have managed to use it to reach even thousands of people, not just in Uganda and Africa, but outside.
You make it sound so simple, Esther, but obviously I want to believe there must be some challenges in trying to carry out this kind of charitable stuff and the mobilization of which. Any challenges you may wish to share with us?
Okay, for starters, the culture within Ugandans is that we expect to get help from outside the country, yes? We don't think that we can fund people ourselves. So
And even if when we want money locally, we say to our government to Yam.
Exactly.
You expect it to come from a government of some sort.
Exactly. So just to start with that mentality and to change that culture amongst people is not easy on its own. Secondly, we are a bunch of young people. What do we know? Everyone is thinking, oh, what are their ulterior motives?
Absolutely.
Are they experienced in doing what they do?
Are they being fronted by some top old politician?
Exactly.
Is it a movement towards a certain political agenda?
Thank you. So there's all this, and people are, you know, suspicious, and then first of all you have to stop them from being suspicious.
How do you do that, Esther?
For starters, I would say we have been very transparent. So each time we raise an amount of money, we shall use our platforms to let people know how much it is. Very recently we had 5-a-side tournament, which was to bring people. We had over 1,000 youths in one place. That's something I haven't heard of a charity in this country, and it's not easy.
Flummoxed. Flabbergasted. That's the word I know.
Yes. So all these people are in one place and they're having fun, and they've come to play soccer and drink and have pork. But then 2 days later, after we've brought everything together, then we say, this is how much we invested to make this event happen. This is how much we got out of it, and this is what it's going to do. So you spoke of the dormitory. At the end of the day, we say, come see the dormitory that you built. So if it is books, and we say we are collecting books, we shall show you the books that we've actually got. We want you to feel like what you're doing is creating results, but then at the same time, it's not a bunch of people who are collecting your money and sending it to some offshore account.
Esther, this doesn't sound to be a true Ugandan story, because for the most part, when there is even a charitable event, as charitable as they get through huge corporate marathons and the like, there are always questions of transparency. How are you able, you as young people whose culture is a bit different, how are you able to show this kind of transparency? No temptations by some in the group to say, let's just sneak $1 here, let's sneak a shilling here, and possibly use it for other gains that are not meant for the, and not for the purpose for which it was meant?
To be honest, without trying to sound holier than thou, I don't even remember one incident.
You obviously are holier than me, but let's proceed.
I don't remember even one incident when a member of my team has said, you know what, let's take this. And the biggest, like the thing that's most amazing is that they're all volunteers. So we don't have a budget to say, you know, you can go and take this trip, come back and let us know. There are times when you leave an offer to give them transportation and they say, no, this is on me because I'm doing it for the children. It's a phrase that we use a lot. It's for the children, we are doing this.
But Esther, tell me, I mean, you, to use your very own words, you are young people, what do you know? You're not only young, but you look affluent. You come from families that are, you know, above the average Ugandan family. You possibly do not know what it means like to go to bed without supper. You do not know what it means like to want a shoe and you are unable to afford it. You don't know what it feels like to want ice cream and your parents are unable to afford it. How can people born with silver spoons in their mouth be able to think that there are those that are disadvantaged in society that they should go and reach out to?
Okay, for starters, I would like to let you know that within the team, there are people from all walks of life, yes? So there are people who grew up without the love of a parent. There are people who have had everything that they desire and possibly can even have more. I mean, there are those who are, you know, we are in between. You've not gone to bed hungry, but at the same time, if you wanted a Lamborghini right now, sorry, you're not going to get it. Yes, so there are all these people, but then because of, I would like to say, their hearts, yes, they have decided to be the change that they want to see. You know, our tagline is be the change you want to see in the world, but we don't just say it, we live it, because it's not enough. I will see a person on the street and I'm like, oh, they're suffering, sorry, and then you move on. That's not the mentality that we want to cultivate. We want to cultivate a culture of I would like to see. We can't be here complaining about KCCA and then you chew chewing gum and then throw it away. You're in a car and then after your splash, you're throwing the box away, then you say, oh, what a dirty city. It doesn't work like that. So even for us, we are sitting there and seeing vulnerable children, we are seeing people who lack food, lack an education, yet we have managed to get an education. So why not give them a different story so that 10 years from now, this person has graduated and they are saying it happened through 40-40. And at the end of the day, it didn't just have to be 40-40. We want an army of other people just like us. If tomorrow I heard that there was a group collecting money on social media, I don't want to sit there and say, oh, they have copied our idea. No!
Join and bring them up. So what is 40-40? Maybe I need to understand what this 40-40 is about. How did this name come about? And are you constrained to just 40 of us? Aren't you already more than 40? Do we need to join?
Yes, please join. I know it's such a mouthful, but then because it was started 2 years ago during the Lent period, so you know before Lent it's 40 days of fasting. Jesus fasted. So my idea was for people to You know, there's some people who fast alcohol, there's some people who fast things like that.
You just read something from my face?
No, I have a new format amongst us. Yes, so the thing was, you know, if you're having a meal of 20,000 each day, have one of 10,000, you know. 10
too?
Yes, save the 10. If you're supposed to be, you know, having like 3 beers, have 2. So the idea was at the end of the day, after the 40 days are done, we shall have enough to be able to go and see some orphans and take them stuff. So originally, you know how Facebook is, someone puts a like and goes on with their life, because it was a Facebook page that I opened. Yes. So in the next, you know, we like last minute things. So like in the last week, I was getting calls and mobile money and come pick this. So we had lots of clothes, lots of toys, and in cash, I'd collected 3.1 million shillings.
And you were able to declare this transparently?
Yes.
And every coin went into
yes,
this one,
and people actually came, because we went to 2 orphanages, and on both days there were like 35 people.
This doesn't seem to be like a movement that's about to end. But where do you see 40-40 in the next 5 years, Esther?
This movement, 1, is not about to end. 2, we would like to bring on board as many other young people as possible, because if we are now between the ages of 25 and 30, there will come a time when perhaps we don't have as much strength as we want. The passion is never going to die. That one I can say
now. You have your cap at 30. There are those of us who are more than 30, perhaps even double that, who want to join you young.
Yes.
Feel young. I mean, you can see from the way I chose to dress today. Because I knew I was hosting you, I said to give myself some ounce in the bounce. In fact, I just forgot my stud.
Yes,
otherwise I should have, you know, come to look exactly like you and reason exactly like you, because inspiration is not coming from our side of the spectrum. It seems to be coming from young people like yourself.
Yes, so I'm saying if maybe a 40-year-old might not have as much time, you know.
Believe you me, for the good things,
they will get
we always have time. For all the bad things, we can also as well get some.
Yes, which is brilliant, because for now we have focused on the youth, but of course we would love as many people to come on board and support us. And of course our disposable income is not as much as that of a 40-year-old or 50-year-old CEO of a company. So what we want to do is to go into schools so that we have university students who are also championing change in their own way.
Tremendous.
A student in S1 who is part of a 40-40 club, because we want to initiate those in schools as well.
So that they can save their little pocket money,
yes,
they can live
and start at a small level. If it's cleaning a swampy area.
But beyond having this heart of gold of helping others, does this 40-40 also try to inculcate amongst your own members responsible living? Because young people are faced with lots of challenges. Life's little luxuries seem to be very appealing to you young people.
Yes.
Do you also have amongst yourselves something to look at yourselves and be your brother's keepers, and always look out for a friend that's going haywire, that's succumbing to drugs, that's succumbing to alcohol, that's succumbing to sex with older men, things like that?
Yes. So amongst us, we have, like I said, we meet every week, but then it's not just come, let's talk about the next domain.
Namboole Stadium or 256?
No, we meet at a restaurant called Sisi's at Nakumat, which has been kind enough to let us have our meetings just whenever we feel like.
Must be a chaotic day when you guys meet in there.
Yes, it's very chaotic. So what we do is, you know, you have that part of, we are discussing the serious stuff, but at the end of the day, we are friends, we are family, so we know if someone is in need, we'll be there for them. If they're getting off track,
put them together.
We shall be able to come together, because at the end of the day, we can't preach one message and leave another. That would be living a lie. So let us first be the model people that we want to be, then be able to engage other people to get involved in the work that we do.
You started off with Lent as an inspiration. Yes. That's where your name comes from, 40-40.
Yes.
Does that mean that you have a strong religious bond or anchor which you subscribe to, or it's about goodness?
I would say at the topmost is the goodness, yeah? So we're not going to get a Muslim and say, you know, you can't come because this was part of a Christian holiday. At the end of the day, all the things that we do are things everyone should do. You know, sometimes I say I'm amazed at how much attention this is all bringing, because I believe all of us should be helping others. Like, this is not, it's not something that's extraordinary.
You have no idea what ideas I'm beginning to pick out of my mind here for you, especially going forward from here, how we can relate with regard to making things even better, especially where I come from in the corporate world, where we can use you. But now talking about that interference, have you had an interference coming in from corporators like myself or politicians like those I will not mention, saying, look, yours is a movement that seems to be bringing people together for a just cause, but can we tag ourselves along so that we gain from you that needed visibility and, you know, show?
Okay, to be honest, for starters, no politicians have come on board and say they want to be. Yes. Yes. For the corporate organizations, we have approached some of them. Some of them thought we were too small to be associated with. Others thought we are too big a brand, we are going to overshadow them. Others made all sorts of promises that they didn't keep. But then it has taught us to be self-reliant. So if I come to a bank or a beverage company and then I ask them,
company like you soon will, maybe.
yes, and then they say, you know, our budgets are full or what or whatever, I'll say thank you. Then we'll go and have an event. It will raise 6 million shillings, and I would say, you know, it would have been nice if it was given in a check form, and then I just go and buy clothes and books and pay school fees. But now that it's not there, what are we going to do next? So it has helped us to be stronger, to be self-reliant, to be creative, because we have to keep on getting ideas to get people on board and excite them. But once they are there and they're having fun, remind them what actually brought them there, the message, what we actually stand for.
Esther, if I invited members of 4040, how many would show up right about now?
Hundreds. Would you be able to fit them all here?
Perhaps not. Hundreds it is.
Yes, hundreds they would be.
Well, there you have heard her, Esther Kalenzi, sharing with us her interesting story of a small startup that could have started off from a point of fun, but deep with a desire to be good and helpful. Let's take a short break. When we return, it's Simon Says. I'll start off from the eternal words of former South African leader, the late Nelson Mandela. He says, quote, "There is nothing I fear more than waking up without a program that will help me bring a little happiness to those with no resources, those who are poor, illiterate, and ridden with terminal disease," unquote. Listening and interviewing this young lady, Esther, and the initiative that 4040 is spearheading, and the works that so far they've been able to achieve using very mundane means that many of us use, but for all the wrong reasons. One is almost brought down to tears to imagine that in this sea of very bad happenings, bad people, bad everything, there is scattered islands of goodness which are growing and galvanizing to make it one huge island, perhaps even take the place of the sea, so that at the end of the day we have nothing but a sea of goodness. What are you doing in your small way? What are you using social media, you as a young person, for? Is it commenting and abusing TV presenters like myself? Is it making political arguments that do not bring bread on the table or change someone's life? Are you able to sacrifice life's little luxuries on your part so that you can fend for that person that's unable to even get the basic of human existence? These are questions that we pose to ourselves every day, if at all we even have the nerve to. But these are questions that we should not only stop at posing, but these are questions that we should answer, and answer in the affirmative. And that said, 4040, I want to believe, and I must make this call, is the place to join, is an activity to partake of, is a cause to support. Have a wonderful morning. Wherever this wonderful weekend takes you, be it at the Kofi Olomide concert, or should you be at your local pub or hangout place, always remember that there are those who are so unfortunate not to be like you and partake of life's little luxuries. Spare a moment and $1 or a shilling for them. Who knows? They will be eternally grateful and you could save a life. Have a good morning and God bless.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
The government has mobilized the funds.
This is the famous Nile Bridge.
Tuliko tuya mufezezi okulaba nti Masaka babeera empowered mu kulima emmwanyi.
Business zigenda mbarra tuombekere, so we are okay.
Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice in and gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait. Yeah. There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Oda, I no go stop to the singing.
No problem. Keep singing. This singing will put you in trouble very soon. You won't believe it's the boy's father that inflicted such injury on him. Just because he stole 50 naira. 50 naira for that matter. That man should be arrested. Oh, how God. How I wish I could just see that man and give him a piece of my mind. Abigail, I don't care if you're chatting with Barack Obama. When you're at work, you learn how to detach yourself from that phone else to get you into trouble. Whatever. I mean, you should be happy that a pilot is asking your friend out.
My brother, I learned that 3 armed robbers tried to rob a man as he came out of the bank at the junction before the express. Don't try to be the hero.
You won't kill me. Do you know how long I've been waking you up quietly and you refuse to wake?
Now you can't interrupt someone. I'd like to pray with you, nurses, being the vessels that the Almighty God has been using to heal his people.
Okay. Can someone please talk to me? What is going on?
Who is she?
See, I hate cheating in my life. I hate cheating and nothing will make me have 50 kobo to that money I already get to you.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is peddling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
A wife who you got through the office will be very insecure about you working in another place.
Always hunt up, don't hunt down.
You mean what? Go after your superior?
How dare you suggest that when a woman is aggressed against, we should look at the person who's been aggressed against?
Let the couple be. Let them sort out their issues. When they need you, then you come in.
Prostitution is being given a new brand.
All I know is that I connect people.
Let's not choose to open our zips and do whatever our urge is, because I don't think that an urge is stronger than your will to say no.
People attach a lot of questions, shame to HIV.
I do not believe that when you wear a short dress, you should be a rep.
Marrying a wife is like having assured sex.
Anytime you come, you must have.
Yes. You raise a population that has no clue how to be men.
Can you bring out a quality family?
I don't get married for my family.
Men, every Wednesday only on NTV.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
Can't do this.
I need an ambulance. Yes, an ambulance, fast.
No, Dad, please, Daddy, please, Daddy, please. Oh, Dad.
Up like a sexy nurse.
Oh, David, not here.
Silence, miss.
Hands off him. What are you doing with this girl? You're still messing around with her?
Respect her.
Don't call me by my last name.
And I asked you to respect Cecilia, but you can't. If you won't listen to me, then I won't listen to you. Don't mind her, sweetie. Let's leave her alone. That's how she'll end up if she doesn't change. You won't even have me anymore.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
It's approximately 10 after 8 and we thank you so much for staying with us. If you're online, youtube.com/NTV Uganda /live on your telly at home or at work, in the taxi. I've been told of 2 taxis in Tinda that have NTV. So the passengers, I hope, reach their destinations. Not Itawate, then you blame the conductor and pieces out. But we thank you so much for loving the show. The big story this morning featured something that has been trending for more than a year. Hashtag I built a dome right now. And the guys from 4040, we had Esther Kalenzi, the team leader, sharing on how especially young people can use social media to cause change. And yes, those that have been part of this campaign know that it's been an awesome privilege to work with a group of young people who have demonstrated 1, accountability, and 2, resilience to make sure that the project goes through. And now lots of kids at in Luwero have a place to stay because of the initiative. It's time to use social media not just for food or selfies or, like Kasiate says, lampooning and gazumping other people. And when some people put, suicidal status updates and we all just look at them. Or you continuously, your role on Facebook is to continuously poke back. I think it's time we grew up from such things and, used these platforms to cause change. A couple of things that Esther talked about, and she says, we want people to feel what they've given to us is for real. Accountability is very important. Our tagline is the change we want to see in the world. We want to cultivate a culture where the change is real. And she goes on to say, we want an army of people who think like us and even do more than us. And some powerful things there, Esther saying. And some of your reactions on our Twitter page. Good job at Esther K. Management should buy you coffee, though I saw at Kasiate had given you a mug. Yes, and Esther is going to get a mug courtesy of Morning at NTV because this is tremendous work. At Media Biz saying at 4040 Smiles, Esther K live on the Morning at NTV. And most of you saying, yeah, it's nice to bring Esther K. It's nice hosting such young, inspiring minds. Awesome. At Kasik John saying, credible work, Esther Kalenzi. At Muyama saying, I can see Esther on the big story. The usual suspects, of course, also retweeting for us. At Elsie Muha saying, I'm so inspired by your story this morning. And head over to our Twitter handle at Morning at NTV. I'll also be reading your Facebook comments later. But for a full week, we've been telling you we're going to give out some HTC phones. And the winners are finally here. So they are finally here. And I'll welcome John Paul from HTC, who is the man behind the M8 and the M7. Good morning, John Paul. Morning, dressed like a boss. Yeah? Good morning. Morning, what I know there's the latest innovation from HTC. Tell us about that.
Okay, morning viewers. Our flagship phone came out on 25th of last month. It's called the M8. HTC One M8. It has retained the...
So this is the M7?
That's the M7. The other one is the M8.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's call these guys. Let me call Iganira John. Iganira John, who has come with his child here. Please come here in the middle. Iganira John, good morning. Morning, sir. How, let me ask John to give you the mic there quickly. Didn't you think this was a fair thing?
No, it's not. Hey. And it's this is a good opportunity because I participated when you had started even the program.
Okay.
Then on it was on Tuesday, Wednesday, I saw Joel picking
the paper.
Yes, from the draw. Reading out the number, it was of Chiganja John. So it's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
This almost an Easter gift.
Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, I'll ask John Paul to hand you the phone. And your baby, what's the name of your baby?
It's called Alibitawa Evans.
Alibitawa Evans. Do you have Facebook?
And also
you are going to WhatsApp.
Say good morning.
Good morning.
All right, please, John Paul, hand over the phone.
Thank you very much.
All right, and let's get Fred Wakida. All right, Iganira, so much, plus the baby. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. This is Fred Wakida. Fred Wakida.
Hello.
What do you do, sir?
I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher?
Yes.
Where?
Centenary Community College.
Where is that?
In Kayunga.
In the Kayunga district?
Yeah.
How is Nantaba?
She's fine.
How did you feel when we called you with this, and gave you the good news?
Well, I was so excited. First of all, I would like to thank HTC for being innovative and NTV for turning on my world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What subjects do you teach?
I'm a plumbing teacher.
Plumbing?
Yes.
Hey, Kati, you see this phone has gadgets, where you can measure the wood. Just put like this,
right.
And then the thing just shows you 20 meters. John Paul, please hand over the phone. All right. That's Fred Wakida. All right, let me call Mbogo Alpha. Mbogo Alpha. Ha! Wagwan Mbogo. Good morning. What's Zotia? Ori bulungi? Oh, gwe koso mzindalo gwe koso. Waliroza byabafere oba you thought?
Badde kino kintu ekisinga kyali kyabafere naye ogwasooka nasooka ne nsindika mu message obwo. Nenga wayi kangene mu maaso n'ogwaddako kangene mu maaso naye bannaayi ekintu gye kiri era musala amagezi mukikole namu gye kiri sibafere era NTV mbebaza nnyo bannaayi.
All right.
Kyonna kye mukoze.
HTC etuteekamu ssente wayi.
HTC
omusajja tomulaba.
Ana ekintu gye kiri mukigezeeko.
All right. All right, John Paul, please hand over the phone. Mwami ono afune esimu. Okay. Naye unzindikira ka airtime. All right. Now the other winner who is 0702-849515. The phone is off and yet you won. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. So okay, we'll keep trying this person, and when we get a hold of them, we shall invite them to come and get their phone. John Paul, finally, as we close, what do you promise our viewers? Are you going to give out the M8 on the show?
Okay, we are planning. There's something we're working on. You see, HTC is one of the sponsors of the Champions League, and the finals are coming, where there's some parties that we're trying to engage, who are also sponsors of the Champions League, and we see how we can give back to our customers.
Right.
We also would like to request all the customers that have purchased HTCs, we need feedback. If they could go on our Facebook page, or even at Morning at NTV, put on a comment on how the gadgets are, how you find them, so that we know how our products are working, how they are faring on the market, and we would really appreciate.
Right.
But there's something coming up. Probably we'll communicate in the next couple of weeks on how it's going to be done and all the mechanics of it.
All right, beautiful. John Paul, thanks for coming.
Okay.
And you can visit the HTC hub at the Forest Mall and also check out the other models of the HTC. Now, every time the ad plays, we start with the song, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, and we always sing to it, goberere ngoma, goberere ngoma, goberere ngoma. This morning, we're going to see the faces behind this on everyday life. Stay with us. Good morning.
Everyday Life is brought to you by
We are HTC.
So these guys have literally changed what news looks like. From the very serious mainstream Morris Mugisha and the rest of the crew to now making it a bit, hip-hop and what's surprising is that they have actually broken it down to music. We'll be meeting them in a couple of minutes, but take a look at one of their episodes, and when we come back, we'll be talking to them live on Morning at NTV.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is a news beat presented to you by Ladies Like and Survivor. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow, keep you sharp and in the know. Sit back, relax, enjoy the news, follow. April 12th is the day of world human space flight. On that day in 1961, a Soviet astronaut called Yuri Gagarin was launched in the outer space. In a flight that lasted 108 minutes, he orbited the Earth on Vostok 1 spacecraft.
Before he dared to go that far and make an impact, a dog was first sent. It was called Laika.
It did not survive, it was a sad sight.
But she paved the way for human space flight.
Space Day and Ugandans join the party. The moon is now a Ugandan reality. This time we're not talking about Renzori, thanks to the good dreamer going for glory.
It's Mr. Chris Nsamba, our very own Ugandan, founder of the African Space Research Program.
It is Uganda's equivalent of NASA, except for the couple $1 billion.
The Ugandan astronomist is optimistic. He has a good team of space enthusiasts.
They began their space work on a plane
and will soon after start on a shuttle.
That's amazing. And to stimulate gravity,
he'll use a jet engine under tunnel.
The engineer does not know the word impossible.
He takes inspiration from Kwasi Ali Baruho,
the first African flight director of NASA, considered a hero and bringing pride to Uganda.
On that note, we invite our viewers to ponder on this very famous quote from yonder.
Some look at things that are and ask why. Others dream of things that never were
and ask why not. Dreamers never give up. Thanks to Chris Nsamba and best of luck. Mr. Daudi Migereko, Uganda's Minister of Lands, decisively just took a firm stand on the right of women to own property. He says land is not a cultural commodity.
It's just another good like the rest in our community. That's my ownership, should be for everybody.
The World Bank and Uganda are back for business sake. Uganda got a $54 million check.
For public awareness, the message badly gets across because some cultures teach us men are the boss.
Girls have no business in land deals, but these are old ideas and old ideals.
Probably back in the day it made sense, but women's rights should be addressed in present tense.
Ask the First Lady or Jennifer Musisi if they believe in equal opportunity.
The world is changing, but the situation remains. Even elsewhere, women are still bound in chains.
The minister is optimistic that he can help the public in understanding land rights and how to put on a fight.
Not just women are addressed, poor people are harassed,
having their land grabbed with no trial or arrest.
For an oil field, shopping mall or apartment, you better your right or your land will be next.
Definitely going to sample us this morning, and you know, for me, I always go like at the end of the newscast, that's when I'm alive, you know. This morning we are with the guys behind this beautiful innovation. It has been viral on YouTube, viral on our page, and wow. All right, Survivor, good morning.
Good morning. Man.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Ah man, you guys think I'm with celebs, you guys.
That is coming from a celeb.
And mic check 1 2.
Mic check 1 2. Ladies like, follow the beat. Are you ready for more?
and you look smaller on TV.
Sizes keep changing, you know.
All right, all right. And this is MC.
Yeah. Loy.
MC Loy.
Yeah.
All right. Let me start with you, Survivor.
Yes.
You know, I think for a very long time, and I know for sure that as NTV, we're thinking of ways to engage young people in news, because when Maurice Mugisha is doing NTV at 9, most of us will switch off or go and watch something else because news is boring, and you guys have changed everything. How did you come up with this?
This concept is not new. It is we first saw it in West Africa.
Hey.
In Senegal.
Oh
yeah, they are actually right now they are our fans, the Senegalese guys. So we thought, why don't we bring the same concept here and localize it and start talking about things that are not readily talked about. We have to go in depth. We have to research more on the things and then make it more interesting for the kids.
Right.
So we decided on that. So we came up as a team. We already had rappers, so that was a good start, and we had a studio. So we looked for sponsors, and we got here and there, and that was it. We started. Wow. Yeah.
You are one of the first people on the show. Just help me give. How does it feel, you know, translating a big story? Because I checked out one of your first raps and you are focusing, you did a story on, I think, the crisis in Syria. How do you even work this out?
Being that I'm a songwriter and I'm a rapper, so I've been through all that, so I can easily translate and edit because I've been in that since 99.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. How is the experience for you, knowing that every week you must, 1, read the news, 2, and be able to make it understandable for us? You know, even some of us who don't appreciate rap, now we understand what you are talking about.
Yeah, I do that because I enjoy what I do, so I make sure I too personally enjoy it before I send it to you. So I guess that's why you guys can understand it, because I first make sure I understand what I'm talking about. I make sure the people next to me too understand. So that's how I present it to the rest after making it sure that the people around me are understanding, and me too, I'm comfortable with it.
Right.
Yeah.
News as we know it right now is too serious.
Yes.
Okay. Has it also helped you change the perception you have about news? I don't know how it was before you started rapping.
I grew up with a father who emphasized on news. I remember when I was sitting in the living room, my brothers would run away. I would stay and watch the news with my father. So for me, it has been something I've been doing all my life. Right. Even my own music is news in itself. So, so for me, the perception is different. But the kids that I meet, are the ones that are making all the difference, because they are telling me, hey, I now listen to the news because I didn't know that you could do such a thing with the hip hop, with rap. So they are listening to the news. Everywhere I go, they tell me that. Even the young kids are telling me that.
Right.
So that is very good.
Well, I always, in fact, at first I didn't even care about their names, because for me it was follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Well, let's follow them and check out what happens before or during or after they have brought that piece to the studio. Take a look at Follow the Beat, behind the scenes. Good morning.
Yeah.
There we go.
Tubalamusiza abeeyo abaami n'abakyala abavubuka n'abatenyo gano ge mawulire gaffe ku ngoma nga gakusomerwa MC Loy ne Ladies Like. Yawangudde omudaali gwa zabbu okuva e Russia akomyewo n'akamotoka. Kiprotich afuse Kiprorich yawangudde omudaali gwa zabbu okuva e Russia akomyewo n'akamotoka ng'akomyewo ku butaka emirimu akakkalabya bami musajja mwesimbu.
Bambi musajja mwesimbu.
Bambi musajja mwesimbu.
Bambi musajja mwesimbu. Musasi. Bambi musajja mwesimbu. Not that Bambi musajja mwesimbu. Bambi musajja mwesimbu.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the news beat presented to you by Ladies Like and MC Loy. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow. Keep you sharp and in the know.
One more time. Yeah, we do it from President. Congratulations. Yeah.
Let's hope we can renew. Okay. Tugambire kujerika. Mukyala Jennifer Msisaka ye agambye ekimala boda muzifulumye Kampala kyemuvuzeeko kimala boda muziwandiise mutaase abakuumi baffe. Mukyala Jennifer Msisaka ye agambye ekimala boda muzifulumye Kampala kyemuvuzeeko kimala boda muziwandiise kitaase obukuumi bwaffe n'obw'abasaabaze.
Yes.
Nyumira amawulire. Kiprotich afuse Kiprorich yawangudde omudaali gwa zabbu okuva e Russia.
Alinga kubadda. Wakabasenga mayakudi tebagikuba embeera.
Kale bakala bakoloi.
Time for play. Time for play. It's okay.
Where money walks on four legs.
Do you have a particular song?
Mm-hmm.
How many songs do you have?
7.
7. 7 songs?
Yeah.
Wow. You said you've been doing this how long?
I've been doing this since 99.
Since 99.
Yeah.
Wow. Survivor, are you training any young people? I've seen her on the show. I think there's another episode where I saw another guy. I don't remember his name. I think I also saw you with her.
No, I've not been with her.
You've not been with her?
Yeah.
Are you training other young people to do this too?
Yes, we are. We are actually in the process of doing that because we want a variation of artists, and we want anybody doing hip hop, because hip hop has been associated. It's like a passing fad. You know, people know you grow out of it because it doesn't have any quality in it. People rap about nothing and all that. So we are showing kids that you can rap about something that everybody can listen to.
Right.
So now kids are getting more involved in doing conscious stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we are getting more of them.
Not just singing about girls
women
whining
and
yeah.
So that has also elevated them. Because when they see us on TV, they say, hey, we can use hip hop for this. You know, so they are excited, and we are getting some of them.
So you know I have to do this, man. You gotta sample us, all right? Should we get a news story? Do you just write these things right out? Like, can I just prompt you now to rap about a story?
Anything can happen.
All right. What was in the papers? Bukenya is being forced out of the office.
Next.
I'll give you a beat, eh?
Okay, follow the beat.
You guys, you will need to help me.
But I'm not going to give you anything about Bukenya because I don't want trouble with Bukenya.
Now, okay, what do you want to rap about?
Okay, let me say something about Jennifer Musisi, the first lady.
Hey, you're in more trouble with Jennifer than Bukenya. Okay,
she's saying good things about her.
Okay, let's go.
Good things about Jennifer Musisi. Yes. Mukyala Jennifer Musisi akaye agambye ekimala boda muzifulumye Kampala kyemuvuzeeko kimala boda muziwandiise kitaasa obukuumi bwaffe n'obw'abasaabaze. Check it out. Big up Jennifer Musisi for cleaning the city. I see it clean. One love.
Break it down. All right, you have to sample us too.
About Uganda.
About Uganda. Okay, so what kind of beat do you want? You know, like I'm the hottest beatboxer in the land.
Any.
All right, you guys need to help me out. Eh? I'm going
to help you out.
So I'll give you.
Uganda has the youngest population in the world. 8 out of 10 people are less than 30 years old. 8 out of 10 are unemployed. Even with a degree or diploma, finding work is still a drama. Too many job seekers and too few job creators. This is MC Loy.
Yeah.
We love hip hop and R&B. All right, Survivor, you're not sampling.
Hey, that's you can't do. I can't get it off my head. For me, my passion, my biggest passion is researching and.
But surviving.
Yeah, you see me on TV doing all that.
You do it on.
Yeah, for that.
Kayubamba sampling morning at NTV. Sampling.
Hey, you do that. You do that.
Okay. Kali, mumpe beat. Morning at NTV program kuzukusa zukukabuli John abakabi Joel Simon Boba kabi at Simon Kasiata Joel Senyonyi but nobody know chitulinde ku maternity nga bwatogera twali yakatinko kakulinga ngekitambo otegera sagala kumanya.
You've been recruited.
On the music yangude konga Idi wala sidamu. Kupirawo. Bizibu. But follow the beat. Features on NTV. Make sure you catch that show. We'll be putting up the profiles and of course the behind the scenes of how these guys work. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Please keep creating that stuff. And I'm telling you, the sky is just the stepping stone, especially for rappers and especially for young people to appreciate news. Yes, it is too serious right now, but this brand of people have come out and said, you know what, let's make news more creative and more acceptable to the youth in this country. It's been an honor. I'll definitely refine my rapping skills. Sagalo vewo tukwata ku remote tujja komawo ne sports ne Brian. Stay chiba cha kabi nange byenjogera sibitegeera tova omwana tokwata na ku nobu. Stay with us.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC. Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
The government has mobilized the funds.
This is the famous Nile Bridge.
Tulikontua mufezezi okulaba nti Masaka babeera empowered mu kulima emmwanyi.
Business zigenda mbarra tuombekere, so we are okay.
This is new close-up deep action. We created it to give the world 3 times fresher breath and eliminate up to 99% of germs. Maybe we went too far. There's an outbreak of freshness. So celebrate, turn up the volume, jubilate. We really, really love. Now the best ever from close-up. 3 times fresher breath.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Jazz with Isaiah.
Other people have shirts that they sell in business. For you, what you sell is your originality. You're almost your own person. You sell your face and you sell your talent. So whatever you have to sell, you need to protect for you to become rich and me be taken advantage of. So it makes a lot of sense. You walk onto stage and you see thousands and thousands of pounds and you're only going to be given 20,000 pounds. This person is going to make like 300,000 pounds. That is exploitation.
Jazz with Isaiah.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
minutes on to 9 o'clock, and this morning we are talking. Brian, can you rap?
Yeah. Good morning. Give me a break. I'm not going to embarrass myself. But I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Let us try sport. Maybe when we start, I could
you
do
can rap
something.
about
Yeah.
sport. Eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to start rugby, football, then get cricket.
I tell you, Mala sing up.
They rap. There's a rappers in 1970. They rap as if they are speaking to each other. Bro, we're going to talk. Rugby.
Hey, we are gonna to go. All right. I'm gonna kind of it.
There has to be something
Hip hop, yeah.
Let's talk hip hop, man.
We are gonna to talk sport. All right, and it's beautiful. This morning we've hosted the young people who are doing amazing things. Esther Kalenzi. Now, follow the beat. You can catch them on NTV. Brian, this morning, tomorrow, USPA Awards, very, very big day. What should we expect?
First of all, I've heard you talk about young guys you've been hosting today, and follow the beat guys. These are young, talented guys. And I think inviting them for an interview is one way of rewarding them, showing actually that their work is getting somewhere.
Right.
And that's the same thing that's going to happen to athletes tomorrow. It's a big day for Ugandan sport, for the scribes. That's the day most of us actually wear full suits. Those who have not worn them all throughout the year or don't plan to wear them throughout the year.
Right.
Because it's our day, it's for the sports journalists. And tomorrow, of course, lots of people are going to be awarded. And of course, the biggest of them all is the sports personality of the year, which is going to be between Stephen Kiprotich, Peace Proskovia, and Just Mangat, the rally driver. Peace Proskovia, utility sportswoman. She plays netball, she plays handball, shot put, basketball.
She's a jack of all trades.
And she's very good.
In all of them.
Absolutely. It's not about just playing the games, but excelling at them too. But of course, Stephen Kiprotich, what he did for the country, winning the World Championships in Moscow, that could put him ahead of most of these guys. So it's really a big, of course there have been some other awards, best basketballer, rugby, cricketer, chess, and all those things. So all those guys will be awarded tomorrow, Grand Imperial Royal, Hotel, tomorrow. It should be a big night.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the Bamboo Super Series also starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Any chance for the Ugandan franchises?
You have to give them a chance to start with because we are home. Victoria are going to be taking on Chui from Kenya at Chadondo. A shot should be the first game at 2:30. Then later on at 4 p.m., Hima Renzori will be taking on Papa, also from Kenya. So given that we start the series from home, I'd like to think actually we should give ourselves a chance, given how we're going to be having a crowd at home and stuff like that.
Right.
The tricky part about it is that most of the players in the teams are youngsters, youthful players. They've not played at the biggest. Most of them, this is going to be the highest level of rugby they played in their careers.
So most of them are literally having that.
Yes, because just like I said, like I said yesterday, Kenya has been using some young guys, and it's been helping them for the future engagements and also developing the sport. So that's what Uganda has also decided to take on, and most of them are young. So maybe that's where the sticky part could be in terms of these guys being inexperienced. But if you go that way, at this stage, it's not about winning. It's about improving some of these young guys. For as long as they play the first game, do one or two mistakes, improve on them in the next, that would be huge. But I'd like to think Victoria and Renzori have got huge chance because we start home.
Well, at least we are starting finally somewhere.
Yeah.
We have, I believe so much in rugby in this country.
Absolutely, I think we can do something in rugby.
Right. The NSSF Volleyball League is also back this weekend. I was a volleyball player. I should probably get back in.
How do they play volleyball? When you saw such things, you didn't tell us. What were you playing? What was your role on the court?
I was
number 6. Your role?
And I was a booster. I was a booster. I was always a booster. And somehow I went to school where most of the guys were short, so I was like the
first time I saw Brian, I saw him as a comedian, so I don't know what he's talking about as a volleyball. Maybe you are doing comedy.
I was like the lady vying for the USPA award.
Wow.
I was a jack of all trades.
Okay, I get.
Yeah, so
USPA does not award comedy.
And I've always asked Isma, do we have enough boosters in this country? Do we have tall volleyball players? Because when we come against countries like Tunisia or Kenya, we are always falling apart.
First of all, as a country, we are not that blessed with size. Because now you're talking volleyball. Maybe volleyball, you could be short and do something. There is a game like basketball. You have got to have height. Height is very important in basketball. We don't have that. We really get affected when we go for some engagement, zone 5 and stuff like that. So it's really huge, but we are not gifted. And you can't do anything about it. You can't buy height. What can you do about it?
We can get some of the tall guys too.
Unless or not, maybe that. Like the way Gambia was introduced to basketball. If you've heard of Sam Gambia, the boy who was in Warriors, now joined KIU. He was introduced as Fondo Street because he's tall, and then they decided to have him. So I think unless we do that one or two, and even those are not so many, so we cannot buy height. But anyway, the league is back. One of the games to pick out is KVC versus Vision Volleyball Club. This is a women's team. It's the first year in the league. They won virtually everything in the build-up to the season, from Makerere Open, Ginger Open, a couple of other Opens. So we need to see how far they can go and how good they can be in the league, because the first KVC, anything associated to KVC is of history, because they were the first volleyball club in this country, the oldest volleyball club in this country.
Right.
So I can't wait to see what happens there. Then there's Old Kampala versus Old Kampala Volleyball Club versus Nemo Stars. It's not a big game on paper, but Nemo Stars being champions, we've got to mention them every time they're playing. So you expect Nemo Stars to walk through that. Though KVC gave them a good run for their money. You never know what Old Kampala could do. Then I think also Sporters are in action against KVC, the main side, are also tomorrow. So it should be interesting to see what Sporters has for KVC.
Right. Yeah. Yesterday you said Juventus and Benfica game would be very, very hard.
Yeah.
What happened last night?
It was tough indeed. Benfica take the lead. Juventus wrap it up. Juventus get the equalizer. I think Benfica managed to get the win and ended 2-1. It was that close. But Benfica being home, I think they're always going to get something out of the game. And they managed to get one out.
And they are at a disadvantage now that, Juve scored.
Yeah, of course, because a 1-0 win can take Juve through, because they got an away goal. Right. But you can't rule out Benfica at this moment, because they can score a goal too in Turin. So we can only wait and see what happens. But it's still a very close game, that one.
Right.
2 is the other game. Sevilla could have won 2-0 on the night. But I'll tell you something. Those teams, Sevilla itself was playing Real Betis. Real Betis beat them 2-0 at home. Sevilla came back home and they managed actually to scrap through. And I think it must have won, I think, 4-1 or 4-2 to go through. So this may not yet be over, because Valencia themselves were 3-0 down in the last round against Basel, and then they managed to go through to the semi-final. So you never know what could happen, but you have to think Sevilla have one leg in the finals.
Right. Moving on to Premiership, and by the way, you can send your questions to Brian on our Facebook page right now, Morning at NTV, or you can tweet us at Morning at NTV, or alternatively use the SMS line 6565. Now, Liverpool against Chelsea. This is probably the real title decider. Is that this game could actually now separate the boys from the men?
Absolutely. I think we talked about Man City being the real title decider, but I think this is the real title decider, to be sincere to you. If Liverpool beat up on Chelsea, they are remaining with Crystal Palace and I think Newcastle.
And they would easily win those games.
If they can beat up on Man City, Liverpool, and if they beat up on Chelsea on Sunday, that will be their 12th win on the bounce. Who's going to stand there and say Liverpool can be stopped now? You expect them, I think, if they can beat Chelsea, you expect them to go on and win probably 14 on the bounce, because if they can win all their remaining games, that means Liverpool have won 14 games on the bounce towards the end of the season. But it's a tough game. Unfortunately, there have been stories of Mourinho coming out to say he's planning to rest his players because of so many suspensions and injuries he's got in the team, and ahead of the Champions League second leg semi-final with Atletico. That would be a huge concern to Man City, who still have hope. But listen, that is Mourinho. He said it before and done different things, so you don't know what to expect. But they've already been hit.
Could he say that now the Premier League is not very important? I'd rather focus on the Champions League.
I'm sure that's what he's looking at. That's what he's looking at, because I think if Mourinho won the Champions League, he'll care less about winning the Premier League, because they had already said anyway they don't expect it to win it. But though that was one of those things he was just saying. He wanted this. It's just not been good enough probably to be where they should be.
Liverpool win this. How many points do they go clear?
Right now they are 5 points ahead of Chelsea. They beat them up, they go 8 ahead of them.
And that's it.
For me, that will be a wrap. But I highly doubt whether Mourinho just can't sit back. Unfortunately, of course, Ramirez, just like we were talking yesterday, he was charged by the FA and now he's been punished. He's been given a 4-match suspension. Yeah. So that means he can't play anymore this season, and he will miss an extra game at the start of next season.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
blow there.
Brutal, eh?
But you think Liverpool going to do this as favourites because they've been brilliant at Anfield.
Crystal Palace have been cruising though. Can they frustrate Man City?
That's going to be the other issue now. Liverpool could be beaten, but Crystal Palace could cause problems for City. These guys, I think, have won 5-6 games on the bounce. Not even United under Moyes have done it. That's how good they've been. Tony Pulis, since he came in, he's done a marvelous job. The team was struggling. Everyone feared for them going back down. Tony Pulis comes in. I mean, the results that he's been posting, out of this one. Beating up on Everton, beating up on Chelsea. Actually, even when they played Man City at the Etihad Stadium, it was a tough game. Man City only won 1-0, but one of the toughest games City have played. So I expect it to be a very tricky game. The only problem is that Crystal Palace are already safe now. Can they fight as much as they would have fought if they're fighting for their lives? I highly doubt. But you expect City to be favourites, though you can't rule out an upset in this.
Right. And of course, you know, it's been in the papers, Manchester United firing finally Moyes, and I know most Man U fans loved that. But the replacement, for me, if you ask me, it feels like Seedorf coaching AC Milan. I don't see any. Do you think Ryan Giggs can? Maybe
Seedorf could be having more experience than Giggs, just slightly. I mean, but they've been there, done that. Been at Seedorf has been more exposed to European football than Giggs, because he's played at Madrid, Ajax, and then AC Milan. Been to Brazil also with Botafogo. For Ryan Giggs, he's been all throughout Man United. But I mean, I'm sure he must have learned a lot under Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest British manager. There's no doubt about that. So you think what he's learned probably can help him. But the thing is, shouldn't be any concern for United fans. Giggs is only an interim. You could clearly see from what we read on the threads and all that kind of stuff, United want to have an experienced and very good manager in place. It's not Giggs going to be.
Aren't we likely to see the repeat of what happened at Chelsea when the guy does well as the season wraps, then they give him the season?
I don't think United will be like that. To start with, I don't think Chelsea would have been patient with David Moyes up to now. You think so? He would have been sacked
5 games he's sacked.
5 games, I think 10, 15 would have gone. United managed to keep it. They just felt this was getting out of hand totally. They had to blow the guy. I think that's why they did it. But Giggs is only in charge of 3 games. I'm convinced Giggs will only be in charge for 3 games, alongside his assistants, Paul Scholes, his former United great, and Nicky Butt and Phil Neville. I don't see them going beyond this season. I think after this interim, the team needs someone in charge.
Van Gaal will have to come in.
I think Van Gaal, because Jurgen Klopp has insisted on saying he is not available. He's happy at Dortmund, he doesn't want to leave. But we've had those things before, you never know. As I told you yesterday, the guy will come and ask you, how much do you want? $3 million, we're giving you 7. The guy says, Dortmund, I'm packing my bags.
All right, moving on to Spain, Villarreal against Atletico. Atletico are doing well. They're probably thinking they are on the Champions League right now.
Yeah, we're talking Liverpool in England. The equivalent of Liverpool in Spain is Atletico Madrid. I mean, what a season they're having. And for them, they're doing it at both fronts. They had a goalless draw against Chelsea at the Vicente Calderon. They are going to the Stamford Bridge. They still have a huge chance to qualify for the finals. And they are leading the Premier, the La Liga by 4 points. 4 points ahead of Barcelona. They play against Valencia. That should be a very, very tricky game. Valencia have really struggled, but you never know. Sometimes they've come out with, shocking results. And Atletico cannot just think they are going to walk through this, because they have to think about Chelsea on Wednesday, because they play on Sunday. Atletico, Valencia couldn't play Saturday because Valencia played last night in the Europa League. So that could be a little tricky, but you think Atletico have this 80% in their hands. I don't see Valencia stopping them. Villarreal play against Barcelona. That should be a tricky one. Villarreal is still fighting for Europa. Barcelona have been so inconsistent. So you expect anything when they are playing. Do you expect anything when they are playing? But they've got to win this, because if they don't, then they can say bye-bye for me to the La Liga. Then, of course, Real Madrid should walk through Osasuna for me tomorrow.
It should be an easy win.
An easy one. Yeah, it should be an easy one for Real Madrid.
All right. Now you can catch more sport with...
Don't maybe before we go, Brian. Basketball starts today. I think we skipped it somewhere. UCU are taking on KIU Rangers in the women's game, the first one. City Hall, as the defending champions, are playing against UCU Cannons, the guys' team. Should be a tough one, because the teams have really hyped up in the league. Falcons have got new sponsors in Krishna Wax matches. Power got a new sponsor in Tigerhead. Of course, City Hall have got City Hall. We all know about that. And of course, a couple of other teams. UCU have got something to say. Warriors are in there. Should be an interesting season. But it starts tonight at the YMCA, because we can't have Lugogo because of awful administrators at the National Council of Sports. Absolute nonsense up there.
Brian, we'll talk about that on Monday. And probably...
we'll talk about that probably on the sports, Brian.
And probably the latest as far as the...
And I need to talk to these guys. We do something about NCS. What are they called? The rappers? What are they called?
So you want them to rap about the
NCS. But only bad things.
This man sounds like a politician. Follow our sports show later, NTV or Mumuli, and you can catch the latest at 1:30 p.m. with Lumansi and Alan, and Sports Bar every Monday 10:30 p.m. from Club Silk with Brian and the rest of the crew. Before we head out to African proverb. Minutes on to 9 o'clock, and this morning on the African proverb, maybe before we go for the African proverb, I'd like to remind you that NTV week district edition is upon you. Tubatuseko mbarara
turimbarara abantu bona bayikireyo sudiri bya ruhanga ryokwe ba Morris Mugisha nibijana injireri izoba mboni twaza kuwita n'amahurire za music corner ba sudiri what is his name? No, kona ne NTV. Ramiti ariyo bona wari twaza kubita n'imiziki. NTV number 1. Watch thing.
Tera kishongoro.
Tera kabare. Dibaketa kabare. Tera kabare kariya.
Mwaza nyumba za
kabari y'abana bari kurapinga nibo baha.
Arang, onomsaja temumuza ku sport kubanga. Okay, your African proverb. You can run quicker than an old man, but when it comes to his wisdom and his words, you are behind. That's Tracy to Mushabe.
Wow.
That's huge, eh?
That's huge. Are they talking about say you can run ahead of the old man, but when it comes to
there's always experience, right?
Yeah, I guess.
For example, it applies for you guys in sport. I see Andre Pila, who is always in every squad because you need some of that old.
But you see, experience sometimes is overrated to start with because you remember the US elections. John McCain had done almost everything, knew more about probably the American politics than Barack Obama. And someone asked actually, would you prefer experience over substance? Because not every experienced person has got more substance than one who's less experienced.
Right.
So that's one. But of course, it's valuable. I mean, experience, everyone needs it. I mean, what it brings you, because it's beyond just the word experience. You come here every day, you come on set, you learn something. And in 5 years' time, you're a better person than you were last time. And I think with time, it teaches you how to compose yourself, how to interview people, and all that kind of stuff, given our job. But I think it's huge in every department or every sphere of life that we walk through. Experience, huge.
Kabanza Isaac on Facebook saying, obukadde magezi takugamba kyamukaddiya or eriso ly'omukulu awaddugala we walaba.
That's what I wanted to say, but I thought I was going to put it in direct translation. I decided to leave it.
All right. This morning we had Esther Kalenzi and at 4040 crew also here talking about the role of social media. I'll quickly go through your comments. Lam Robert saying, I'd like to know more of this. Contact them on their Twitter handle or their Facebook page. And Johnson Kansime saying, Esther is a patriot. I like her personality. How I wish more of us this side can be able to do such a similar activity and stop asking government to help us. That's beautiful. Head over to our Twitter handle at Morning at NTV and Facebook is Morning at NTV. The movie continues with it's called The Day After Tomorrow. Abantu bemba rambgenu district edition za
bayikireyo aba NTV bayikireyo bari muhanda aba NTV bari muhanda kigamba
aba NTV bari muhanda.
Thank you very much.
Ngenu
don't abuse people.
Twashmirra tinka simire mgenu mbeni tinka simire
tinka simire the MP
and civil. Bye bye.
NTV, turning on your world.
Smelling nice and being tough can go together. The freshness of fabric conditioner is now combined with the best ever stain removal of Omo. New Omo, best ever stain removal with fabric conditioner freshness.
government has mobilized the funds.
This is the famous Nile Bridge.
Tuliko tuya mu phases okulaba nti Masaka babeera empowered mu kulima emmwanyi.
Business zigenda mbarra tuombekere, so we are okay.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
Can't do this.
I need an ambulance. Yes, an ambulance, fast.
No, Dad, please, Daddy, please, Daddy, please. Oh, Dad.
Up like a sexy nurse.
Oh,